even today, I think there should be at least one more person with us. Yeah. So this is the introductory class for this course. Data analytics with Python. Well, as usual, we start by looking at the definition. Okay, so we're looking at data analytics definition and application. Meanwhile, by next week, we will talk about some ground rules for this course, to avoid repetition. For now, let's just move on. Okay, by the next class, we will do that. Okay, so we are looking at data analytics definition and application. Like we all know, data analytics has become a very popular course, popular field of study. It has become a very popular terminology. We hear of data analytics, data analysis, business analysis, all sorts of analysis. Yeah, and most of these analytic processes involve the use of data. So data analytics is sort of central, very central, in many modern day activities in business and in other spheres of life, other human endeavors. So it's critical, it's very important to know what data analytics is about. It's very important to have the foundation, not just jumping into analysis. The foundation should be well known. Okay. We should know what it's about. Very, very important. Data analytics is the process of capturing, exploring, and analyzing large data sets to make predictions and help data-driven decisions. Data analytics. How do I know Okay. Let's mute ourselves, please. Let's mute ourselves. All right. So in data analytics, data analytics processes involves conversion of data into actionable insights. It's a subset of a field called data science. Actually, the term data analytics, can be defined in very many different ways. Okay, but I think this is good enough for our purposes. All right. Now, the perspective from which we are looking at data analytics is as a subset of data science. Right? Now, what is this definition talking about? Data is very important. In fact, some professionals say that data is the present day oil. Just like we know that crude oil is, something that is very valuable in the world today. Okay. So some people say that data is a new oil. In other words, there's a lot of value in data. Okay. But to get this value, to actually source this value, to gain the value, Then the data must be captured appropriately. The data must be cleaned. The data must be organized and summarized and analyzed. Okay. So analysis, data analytics is about analyzing such data, which in its raw form is almost good for nothing, right? So, but data analytics can be used to analyze data in order to get value from that data, to get insights from the data. So in this course, we are going to learn the various processes that are carried out on data to transform it from its original not so useful state to a very valuable state in which valuable insights can be gotten from the data. In data analytics, a range of tools, technologies, and processes are used to find trends and solve problems by using data. Okay, there are lots of tools that are used in data analytics, but each one of us don't really need to learn all the tools. That's not possible anyway, because it's a whole lot. It's to just make a choice regarding the area that you want to focus on and learn all the tools and technologies you need in that area. Data analytics can be used to fine-tune business processes, improve decision making, and foster business growth. Now, business is one area where data analytics is used a lot these days. However, data analytics is not limited to business. It's used in virtually all aspects of human endeavors, in medicine, in government, in just name it. Okay, in the field of um, pharmacy, it's used in virtually every field. Okay, so if you understand data analytics, you can be sure that you you become a highly valuable resource. So please pay attention as we proceed in this course. All right, so data analytics find applications in virtually every area of human endeavor, including government, health, agriculture, automobile production, manufacturing, finance, banking, marketing, e-commerce, energy sector, etc. Information technology giants like Google, Facebook, Oracle, Microsoft, and others rely heavily on the power of data analytics and AI to drive their systems and operations. Now, this very term, data analytics, became adopted and became popular when um, data became so enormous. So when big data, the availability of data grew, and when as a result of growth in technology as well. In the good old days, we used to hear more of just statistical analysis. Okay, but with advancements, with growth in technology, with different kinds of tools, that have been created, the process became quite sophisticated. Okay, very, very sophisticated. And domain experts from various aspects of human endeavor are now involved in creating models and creating um, knowledge and tools that drive analytics. That's why the term, was kind of tweaked to be a little bit different. So when we are talking about data analytics today, it goes beyond what we used to know in those days. where we just use tools like SPSS to do statistical analysis. It's quite sophisticated these days. Okay, and more processes are being automated. There are new technologies, new algorithms are being created, and all that. It's a very dynamic field. As we go on, we'll try to um, see the difference between data analytics and data science. A lot of people confuse those two terminologies, but I don't want to delve into that now because I think it's quite early. Let's move on. Otherwise, it will be difficult uh, to really get it. So let's move on. But as we progress from time to time, I will talk about some things about data science. I will see the difference between the data science and data analytics. Okay. All right. So because of the power of analytics in providing useful and informed guide, even small and medium-sized companies and businesses are now catching up. Many of them now employ the services of data analysts. Okay. All this translates into abundance of job and business opportunities for professional data analysts. So if you are good, very sound in data analytics, of course, just know that there are opportunities out there waiting for you. All right, so I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Please, can you guys hear me? Hope I'm not speaking to myself.
No,
Please
I
just indicate if you can hear me.
can hear you, sir.
Okay. The rest of us, I hope you can hear me. Okay, if you want to speak, you just unmute your mic and speak. Afterwards, you mute yourself to avoid background sound.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Obi, you are welcome. All right. So the data analytics process. Now, in data analytics, there are processes. Okay, there are processes. These processes are connected. Okay, and they are connected, and they form a sequence. They are sequence. In other words, what I mean is they are ordered. Okay, it's usually in this order, in the order you are seeing now. The processes and phases of a typical data analytics process are data collection / data capture. Okay, so of course, the first thing is to collect data. However, most of the time, as an analyst, as a data analyst, most times you may not be involved in the direct collection of data from source, from whatever source the data is coming from. Usually, you are given data that is already collected, in some form. So what you do most of the time is to capture the data into the prescribed using the appropriate tool. For example, let's say, for instance, you are given, um, let me give you an example. Let's say you are asked to do some analysis on customer data, bank customer data. Now, you are not the one to collect the data from the customers. The bank cashiers and the bank staff would have collected this data, captured it into their database. So what happens is you are given um, a sample or samples of this data, in some form. maybe as a database file, in the form of database file, or in the form of it could be an Excel in form of Excel. It could be in the form of CSV. Whatever the format. So when it's given to you, what you do is to capture that data into the environment where you are to do the analysis. Let's say, for instance, you are doing analysis in Excel, but you are given the data as a CSV file. CSV is a comma separated values file. As we get on, we'll be using CSV file, so you get used to it. So if that sounds strange, don't bother about it. Okay, so let's say you are given that data in that format, and you know that your data is to be analyzed in Excel. Then you have to capture this data into your Excel environment. Okay, you have to transfer it into your Excel environment. So that's the beginning of the process. So in the beginning, you get the data from whatever source. That's the first thing. Of course, you have to analyze data. If you don't get the data into the system, you cannot have it for analysis. So the next thing, the next step is to prepare the data. Okay. Why do you have to do preparation? Because the form in which this data is given to you, in most cases, more often than not, you cannot do any useful analysis on the data in that form. Okay, so usually there's need to reorganize the data. There's need to remove, um, features in the data that are not necessary for your analysis. There's need to clean up the data. Maybe there are some unusual values, missing values, those kind of things. Those have to be taken care of. And then sometimes there's even need to normalize, do what they call normalization of data. In other words, transform the data to some other um, form, okay, some other format, some other form. So we are going to do data normalization as we go on, so don't worry about that. But the important thing you should note for now is that after collecting the data must be prepared for analysis. Okay, because the way the data is given to you is usually, most of the time, is not suitable for analysis. So after preparing the data, summarizing it, organizing it, properly the way it's supposed to be, then you do data exploration. Okay. Sometimes we call that pre-processing. You do exploration, you check the data, you check the shape of the data, you examine the distribution of the data, you get some summaries, some descriptives. For example, you may want to see what's the mean of this data set, what's the variance or standard deviation, those sort of things. Maybe the 5 number summary, like the mean, the or 6 number or five, mean, median, mode, um, the range, maximum, minimum, those kind of, just check out those general statistics and all that. You may want to see the shape of the data. That's the trend. You may want to know what kind of data is it? Is it skewed to the right? Is it skewed to the left? Is it symmetric? Those kind of things. So generally, you just play around the data try to see the trend, try to see the shape, the pattern, how the data is, how it's distributed. So when you are doing all that, you are doing exploration. You are exploring the data. Okay, you are like examining the data to see the form of that data. Don't forget, this is data analytics, so it's just all about data, data, data. You really have to understand the nature of data. Okay, that's why we're going to be looking at various topics that makes you gain a very sound understanding of data and how to handle data. All right, so after exploration, then the next thing you want to do is data modeling. Okay, you at this stage, 1 minute, please. Okay, so what's modeling about? Now, this is about applying some models to the data to gain some information, some insights from the data. Okay, so there are various models that can be used. That's mostly statistical models which can be used. We are going to examine some. Okay, for example, if for example you want to compare the mean of data, maybe you have like two samples and you need to compare the mean of those two samples. You could use um, a test, statistical test of mean to do that. I don't know if some of us are used to that, test of mean like t-test, z-test, for example. Or if it's something that has to do with some dependent relationship, let's say you are trying to examine how expenses on adverts and affects volume of sales, for example. Okay. Normally, as you spend more money on adverts, it's expected that the company should make higher sales, that kind of thing. Now, the company is spending money on adverts. They want to know if that is really translating, if there's really a connection between their expenses on adverts and the sales they are actually making. And they want to be able to like predict, the level of expense on advert that will be needed in order to get some um, desired level of sales, that kind of thing. So if it's that kind of problem, you may want to do a regression, use regression modeling. So at this stage, the important point is at this stage, you use some models, on the data in order to get the desired insights or information. Okay. Now, after the modeling, you have to be able to interpret the results, because when you do modeling, the result you get usually may not be understood by a layman. Okay, so you should be able to, you as a professional, when you get your output, maybe you do a statistical analysis and the output is given to you on the screen, you should understand what that output means and should be able to explain it, communicate it in a way that someone who is not an analyst can understand. Okay, should be able to interpret it. What is this thing saying? Okay, does this result mean that? I mean, we should be able to explain what communicates, interprets the result of your analysis. So these are the the phases. These are the five core processes, processes within the data analytics process. Okay, and if we look at this, it would seem like data modeling is the main thing. Okay, however, it should be noted that every process here is very, very important. Now, if you look at the very first process, we said data capture. Okay, then the next one, we said data preparation. Now, if the data is not well, in fact, the data collection itself from the beginning, if it's not well done, the end result will be rubbish, to be nonsense. It will not be useful. It will be garbage. Okay, garbage in, garbage out. So if you are carrying out analysis on wrong data, unclean data, erroneous data, then don't expect that the results will be positive. Okay, so every step is is very, very, very important. That's the point I'm trying to make. Every step is very important. Okay, that's why along the line we'll talk about data collection. Although I said that I mentioned earlier that most of the time data analysis is not involved in data collection, but there are some cases you may find yourself in an environment where you are involved in the data collection process, so you should know about it. So we are going to look at the various ways of collecting data to ensure that the data you collect is representative. In other words, almost if you get disconnected, please just come back in with rejoin with the same ID. Okay. Anytime you get disconnected, just rejoin with the same link. Okay. So it's all very, very important. Every step is important. So let's move on. As we go on, we will understand all these things I'm talking about better, right? Okay. Okay, so now, what are we going to learn in this course? Okay, what are we going to learn? So this is a summary of what we are going to learn.